A millionaire annihilates his family and then burns down their 3-story mansion. He seemingly led a picture-perfect life. So why did he commit this atrocious crime? My name's Emma and I'd like to tell you the story of Christopher Foster. Now, at the beginning, Christopher was a very average man. He was a salesman. He had his wife Jill. They lived in an average home. Christopher sees an opportunity and he actually invents this new chemical formula to do with oil rig insulation. He patents it and it is exceptional. It wins awards and makes him a lot of money. He makes money pretty quickly and they also begin spending money. Jill goes to the hairdressers and she's looking in a country magazine, sees this mansion for sale. The next day they buy it, £1.15 million. It's a 3-story house with 16 acres of land. His daughter Kirsty, who is around 14, 15 at the time, is horse mad. He buys her 3 horses. They have 4 dogs, ducks, chickens. Jill even owns doves. Chris collects classic cars, and I don't mean just like 1 or 2 fancy cars. He has like a fleet of them. He also owns a tractor and guns. He enjoys clay pigeon shooting, so he gets a license to own guns. To their neighbours, they seem to live this kind of picture-perfect life. Chris is very affectionate towards his wife Jill. Jill is very bubbly and giggly. They seemed like a very friendly, happy family. But was this family home really that happy? Chris actually wasn't that happy. In fact, he was deeply unhappy with his life. He had around 8 mistresses. His sister-in-law says he had a thing for blondes. He wasn't particularly good looking, but he had a lot of money. He had fancy cars. And if you remember, he was a salesman, so he was pretty good at talking. Some sources also say that Jill, the wife, had affairs too. They had an open marriage. Chris was also very restless. He was always doing things. Even though they had cleaners and handymen and things, he was always busy cleaning something or fixing something. He was also very quick-tempered and his daughter was very careful not to rile him up. Money. Chris's invention did make him a lot of money. But they also spent a hell of a lot of money. They had the mansion, they had the animals, they had these first-class holidays, the cars. He was spending a ridiculous amount, and in 2003 he had signed an exclusive contract with a manufacturer. So this was the only company that could manufacture his product. By 2005 he was in around £2.8 million worth of debt, and he tried to break this contract. By this point he is living off credit and he's pretty desperate. So he goes to another manufacturer who can make his product cheaper. This leaves the initial manufacturing company with a ton of product that they can't shift. So what do? They sue Christopher Foster and they win. Not only do they win, they actually take over his patent and they run with it. They produce this product and they sell it globally to BP, Esso. They really make a ton of money off of Chris's idea. So where does this leave Chris? Basically with nothing. His business goes into liquidation in 2007. He is left with no salary. He also owes the Inland Revenue a ton of money. He wasn't particularly good at paying his taxes, VAT, national insurance, and he owes them about £1 million. He also has nothing to do now all day, and this is a man that likes to keep busy. He's remortgaged his home over 3 times, so he basically doesn't own any of it anymore. He has over 20 bank accounts that are all withdrawn. One of them is withdrawn to around the tune of £330,000. So this is a man whose relationship with his wife has been crumbling. He has no company, no purpose to get up every day. He goes to his GP and says that he feels suicidal. And you have to remember, this is a man that owns guns. The GP prescribes him antidepressants. And I will say that by the end of this case, it's really highlighted how GPs and the police should speak to each other more, because anyone that's suicidal that has a gun license should really be monitored by the police firearms. He admits to one of his friends that he'd rather take his own life than give away his stuff to anyone. The bailiffs are not getting it. The government are not getting it. I will destroy everything before that happens. So this is a man that's seriously losing control, and in August 2008, the bailiffs do arrive. They pin a letter to the gates of his property, which is actually picked up by the cleaner. He spends the next few weeks on websites about suicide and looking through old family photos. Now, on August the 25th, 2008, the family go to a party held by John Hughes, which is a neighbouring millionaire. He's having a barbecue, people are playing clay pigeon. Everyone there says that Chris is like the happiest he's ever been. They have a great time. In the end, Chris says he wants to go home. Jill wants to stay, but they end up going. Jill goes straight to bed. Kirsty stays up online talking to a friend until Chris unplugs the internet, and that stops that. So Kirsty then goes to bed. The next is actually caught on some CCTV that they have at the house. So all the outside things that Chris then does is captured. He puts a silencer on a rifle and goes into the bedroom and shoots his wife in the back of the head while she's in bed. He then goes across the landing to his daughter's bedroom and does exactly the same. They think he didn't want to look at their face whilst he was shooting them. He then goes downstairs and moves their horse box so that it's barricading the gates. He shoots out the tyres so they're all flat and takes the keys. This is to stop anyone intervening in his plan. He then goes and shoots all the animals, so the horses, the dogs, even the ducks and the chickens. He then takes around 200 gallons of oil and puts it on rags and just disperses it throughout this mansion. He sets the whole thing on fire, goes back upstairs to the master bedroom, lays next to his wife, and ends up dying through smoke inhalation. Now, on the CCTV that they can see of Chris doing all the stuff outside, he seems really calm, and afterwards they realise that he has been drinking, but this isn't a man that's like sporadic or anything like that. He's just walking calmly from each thing, very methodically. The neighbours call 999 when they see obviously smoke billowing out of this house. The firefighters get there around 4:30 a.m. It takes them a while to get in because of this horse box. By the time they do, there's not much they can do. The fire is intense, and the only thing they can really do is contain it so that it doesn't spread. 4 days it takes them to get into that property, and after 4 days it's still smouldering. They go through to the ground floor and they see 2 bodies lying next to each other, and one is identified as Jill. They believe that these bodies were actually on the 3rd floor, but they had fallen all the way through. That was on the Friday. It takes them until Monday to find the daughter Kirsty's body. On the Tuesday, the bailiffs turn up to seize the property and everything in it, and it's just ashes. So Chris's plan has worked. Chris didn't want them taking any of his stuff, and he made sure that didn't happen. In the aftermath, some close friends and family did say that Chris was actually a bit of a bully, and he was known to, at least on one occasion, hit his wife. The police say that the wife and the daughter had so much to live for. They actually call the perpetrators, like Chris, the family annihilator, and it's usually men of power and money that end up taking the lives of their entire family when they start to lose control. That is the tragic story of the Foster family. If you like my content and you'd like to hear more true crime stories, please remember to like, subscribe and comment, and I will see you in the next one.